Today, we are asking, could World of Warcraft benefit from actual fantasy writers? We'll go from the golden age of the lore through to where it all went wrong, and which fantasy writers we would like to see at the Warcraft table. So let's dive in. World of Warcraft has always been more than just a game. It's a world rich with lore, epic conflicts, and larger-than-life characters. Or at least it used to be. Let's face it, since Wrath of the Lich King, the story has struggled to recapture the magic that once made Azeroth feel like a living, breathing world. So here's a thought. What if Blizzard brought in actual fantasy writers like Brandon Sanderson, Joe Abercrombie, or even George R.R. Martin to help shape the story going forward? Could fresh minds reignite the spark and give WoW the depth it desperately needs? Back in the early days, especially with Warcraft 3 and expansions like the Burning Crusade and Wrath of the Lich King, WoW's story felt epic. It had tragedy, betrayal, redemption, everything you'd want from a good fantasy saga. Arthas's fall to darkness, Illidan's tragic fate, and the mystery of the Titans, these were stories that stuck with us long after we logged out. The writing wasn't perfect, but it felt grounded, compelling, and most importantly, earned. The stakes felt real, and the characters were memorable. But since then, it's felt like Blizzard has been struggling to tell a compelling narrative. Expansions have relied too heavily on retcons, forced character arcs, and storylines that feel disconnected from what made Azeroth special. So where did things go off the rails? Many players feel like WoW's lore became too convoluted and overly focused on cosmic threats that are hard to relate to. Characters like Sylvanas were turned into plot devices rather than real believable characters. And let's not forget the constant mystery box approach, where we get vague hints of deeper lore, but the payoff often feels rushed or underwhelming. Instead of storytelling that unfolds naturally, it feels like we're getting plot twists for the sake of shock value. Compare that to the storytelling in modern fantasy novels. Writers like Sanderson are masters of building long-term, rewarding payoffs. Joe Abercrombie creates morally complex characters that feel real and gritty. George R.R. Martin, he knows how to make political intrigue just as exciting as a battlefield. If Blizzard brought in experienced fantasy authors, they could breathe new life into WoW's world. Imagine the depth and nuance that someone like Sanderson could bring to the cosmic side of the story, weaving complex magic systems and long-term foreshadowing. Abercrombie could take WoW's factions and inject them with political intrigue, making the Horde and Alliance more than just background noise. And George R.R. Martin, well, let's just say no character would be safe.